597-0060.
Telling your friends stop partying, you're pregnant on the next Ricky Lake.
As a public service to our late-night viewers, Channel 6 now presents a rebroadcast of tonight's 11 o'clock news.
Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Phil Andrews and Rob Jennings.
Sunday night, health officials turned to education to fight that deadly outbreak in Africa, and people everywhere turned to their mothers today to say thanks. But the big story in Action News tonight is the arrest of a key figure in Japan's deadly subway gas attack 8 weeks ago. An intense nationwide search for Yoshihiro Inoue ended tonight in a suburban Tokyo area. He is a leading member of the doomsday cult believed responsible for using the nerve gas sarin, which killed 12 and sickened more than 5,000 people. Cult members questioned by police reportedly said Inoue supervised the gas attack. Police have seized tons of chemicals at the cult's compound, yet the cult continues to deny involvement in the attack. Its leader, however, is still on the run. In Oklahoma City, demolition crews are preparing the bombed-out federal building for another explosion, this time by experts. The building is scheduled to come down this week. The actual day, still unknown. Demolition experts have been on the scene all weekend preparing the building for the blast. An official with the company in charge of bringing it down says most people in the city are looking forward to seeing it gone once and for all. Meantime, the New York Times says federal officials may have once again made a mistake in arresting a suspect. Officials arrested Stephen Colburn in Phoenix Friday. He admits to knowing chief suspect Timothy McVeigh and is also allegedly an explosives expert. However, the report says the officials have nothing concrete to link him to the bombing. Newsweek has gotten a hold of a letter McVeigh sent to his sister in March. In it, he asked his sister about another letter saying, quote, "It's important to know if you received it or if it was intercepted either by G-men or Dad." It goes on, "Watch what you say because I may not get it in time and the G-men may get it out of my box, incriminating you." Jennifer McVeigh denies knowing anything about the bombing and hasn't been charged with anything. Killer tornadoes spun through the nation's midsection overnight, leaving widespread destruction in their path. Northern Kentucky got hit hard. At least a half dozen twisters toppled mobile homes and downed power lines. 10 people injured. Most were asleep at the time. In one case, a young child was sleeping in a room that her parents could not get to before a tornado tore apart their mobile home.
She was yelling the whole time the trailer was moving, "Shelby, Shelby, Shelby." When I finally got over there, I could hear her crying, and the crib was over on top of her. And I had to rip the side of the crib out and rip a bunch of stuff out from under the side of the trailer to get to her, and I just pulled her out.
Luckily, the infant was not seriously hurt. In Indiana, a single tornado is believed to have caused all this damage just north of Indianapolis. 2 people were killed here. Winds were clocked at 140 miles an hour. Violent storms also left their mark outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. High winds uprooted trees and damaged homes and flipped over boats in the water. At least one person was seriously injured here. A tree fell right on top of her. What is left of those storms is heading our way, but they are losing strength. We'll have details on what AccuWeather expects coming up in a few minutes. Back in our area tonight, traffic accidents have killed 3 people in our area this Sunday. Police say this 2-car crash in Port Richmond today was caused by a drunk driver. His car allegedly ran a stop sign at Alman and Indiana and broadsided another car. 58-year-old Elizabeth Savell of Port Richmond, riding in that second car, was killed. 2 other people were injured. The other driver, 28-year-old James Chavinsky of Port Richmond, has been charged with vehicular homicide and drunk driving. This overnight crash between a motorcycle and a car killed a young New Jersey man. This is Enterprise Avenue in southwest Philadelphia. Police say 23-year-old Stephen Hill was riding his motorbike here when he crashed into a car making a U-turn. The impact sent Hill flying off the bike and over the car. The Belmar, New Jersey resident was dead at the scene. No charges against the driver of the car. And this freak accident claimed the life of a Chester County man early today. East Whiteland police tell us this Ford Explorer swerved on Route 30 and flipped over several times. The driver was thrown out of the vehicle as it tumbled over. 34-year-old Scott Pritchie of Paoli was dead at the scene. 2 days and counting until Pennsylvania primary day. David Murphy has a close-up look tonight at a very close race where a Fairmount realtor is trying to unseat the president of City Council.
City Council President John Street, on his way into a campaign stop in Winfield Heights today, was outwardly confident of victory on Tuesday.
I have the traditional organizations. I'm endorsed by 10 out of the 11 ward leaders in the district. Most of the committee people are for me.
But most people watching his Democratic primary race in Philadelphia's 5th District feel the 15-and-a-half-year council veteran is in a scuffle. His opponent, realtor Julie Welker, campaigning door-to-door today in Fairmount, nearly beat Street in a three-way race 4 years ago and is also optimistic.
People are not satisfied with what has been going on with the district, and they see that they have an opportunity to change it. So that's what I believe will happen on Election Day.
In a year when few races are stirring much excitement, this one has become one of the more interesting as well as one of the more hotly contested. Welker has gone on the offensive, accusing Street of being power-hungry and ignoring the day-to-day problems of 5th District constituents. Street calls Welker a political infant without a clue about running a city council office. Today, the sparring continued.
I don't think that this is any time in the history of the 5th District or this city to take a chance on a neophyte who knows absolutely nothing about local government.
My opponent is so unaware, he is so naive about what goes on in his district that I'm not surprised he would say something like that.
The outcome here will likely depend on how many dissatisfied voters actually make it to the polls on what is expected to be a light turnout election day, and how many are willing to vote out a powerful city council president. David Murphy, Channel 6 Action News.
It is Mother's Day, and sons, daughters, and husbands everywhere found any way they could to treat Mom on her special day. Some moms got taken to Sunday brunch here in Center City. Between Friends at the Franklin Plaza laid out a buffet of good food to melt any mom's taste buds. And Dave and Buster's on the Delaware got into the act. Not only do they give moms brunch, but a Dixieland band entertained them too. And the best gift of all for some was becoming a mom on this day. Quatandra McKenzie of West Philadelphia delivered a baby boy just after midnight. There he is, and they're all doing well tonight. For most moms, spending time with their family is very important on Mother's Day, and for one Philadelphia native who's been away from home for a while, returning today was a really big deal. Action News reporter Kristen Z has her story tonight.
Happy Mother's Day to you. These are grandchildren and great-grandchildren wishing a happy Mother's Day to 83-year-old Nora Cimarelli. The Philadelphia native who recently moved to California returned to celebrate Mother's Day with some of her 7 children, 21 grandchildren, and 45 great-grandchildren.
Brings back memories, and you see more and more of the children growing, and they're all nice. Thank God.
Seated with her daughter and her daughter's daughter, Nora's thrilled to be surrounded by loved ones. She says it wasn't easy raising 7 children through the Depression era and wars, but she managed to pass on her values.
To be nice to everybody and look at life as something good.
Her daughter, 48-year-old Franny Gary, has her own daughter now, but she still looks to her mother for guidance in major decisions and even the little things.
Yesterday, actually, I asked her to help me out with the meatballs that we were making for the party.
You never get done wanting your mother, even though I don't have mine, but you always think of Mom.
19-year-old Stephanie Gary says she's fortunate to have a wonderful mother and grandmother.
I love them both very much, and just thanks for being so warm and great mothers.
There were other mothers here tonight. Donna Sherman with 3 daughters, Franny Ruggery and her son Brian, and Trish Marziano and her 10-day-old daughter Melissa, all of them trying to be the best moms that they can be. And they all look to this lovely lady as their role model.
Happy Mother's Day, dear Grandma. Happy Mother's Day to you.
I'm Kristen Z, Channel 6 Action News in Fairless Hills.
And still ahead on Action News tonight, the Flyers wrap up the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs with a big win at the Spectrum today. Medical officials are turning toward education to stop that outbreak of that deadly virus in Africa. Plus AccuWeather and more as Action News continues tonight.
You like your car? Well, why not? Runs great, but it may not look so great. Time for the better get Mako guy. Talk about great. Tell him about the paint.
Top quality,
State-of-the-art paint for a great looking finish.
Can I tell him the price?
Yeah, go for it.
Right now, Mako value is better than ever. Get our great-looking Mako Ambassador finish for one low price. Our best value, right now, only $189. Call Mako today.
Mako, America's smart choice. Super job. Thanks. Not you. The paint.
40 years ago, Volkswagen came to America, and we were different. Today, nobody else builds German-engineered, incredibly fun-to-drive cars that are so affordable and so well-protected. So, we're still different. Right now, Volkswagen's celebrating our 40th anniversary with great values on all our models. To the 10 million Americans who've owned Volkswagens, we say, come on home. To the rest of you, come experience the difference. Lease a Jetta GL for only $199 a month with zero down at your Volkswagen dealer today.
Overseas tonight, the Israeli government is ignoring international opposition and is refusing to back down on plans to seize 140 acres of Arab-owned land. Israeli Prime Minister Rabin said today the government plans to take that land and use it to build more housing for Jews and a police station. Palestinian officials are calling the move a blow to the Middle East peace process. Rabin did promise that Israel would no longer seize Arab land in Jerusalem. Palestinians say that announcement means very little. Heavy fighting once again plaguing the northeast region of Bosnia. Serbs are reportedly trying to widen their vital but narrow corridor, which links areas they control in Bosnia and Croatia to Serbia. Meanwhile, the Bosnian capital is experiencing some of the worst fighting since the ceasefire expired 2 weeks ago. The UN says 2 shells slammed into a Sarajevo suburb earlier today. No word yet on casualties. Medical officials in Africa are on a mission of education tonight. They're moving through Zaire with bullhorns and flyers to teach residents how to avoid contracting the deadly Ebola virus. Right now, the 600,000 people who live in the city of Kikwit are under a strict quarantine. That city is the suspected center of the outbreak. The official death toll from the spread of the virus stands at 59 tonight. Another 20 have been infected, but they're still alive. Investigators have now recovered the flight recorder from an Air Force plane that crashed this weekend in Idaho. 6 were killed when their C-130 Hercules went down near Bliss, Idaho. The plane was on its way from a training mission in Boise to Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado when it went down. A local sheriff says the wreckage from the plane is covering a 3-square-mile area. The cause is unknown. An Indonesian transport plane was forced to make an emergency landing today when fire broke out on board. As it landed, the tail section hit the runway, sending out that plume of sparks and flames. The plane skidded off the runway into a ditch. Miraculously, nobody on board or on the ground was hurt.
All the steam is coming from our guests today. That's how hot this show is going to be.
They've dreamed of one special person.
And when I first met Kevin, I kind of thought, ooh, he's got a cute butt.
And how just one kiss could be.
What's the worst that could happen with this kiss?
It could be like kissing my brother because
So Jenny makes their dreams come true.
If the kiss is as good as I think it should be, maybe I hope that limousine has tinted windows.
Watch Jenny Jones.
Monday at 9, only on Channel 6.
The defendant, the families, the courtroom, the lawyers, Bundy, Rockingham, Mezzaluna. AM Philadelphia's Wally Kennedy travels to Los Angeles to cover the Simpson trial live. What's O.J. like in prison? What's the atmosphere inside the courtroom? And how are the jurors responding to the case? AM Philadelphia live in L.A.
Monday at 10, right after Jenny Jones on Channel 6.
This rebroadcast of tonight's 11 o'clock news is presented by Channel 6 as a public service to our late-night viewers.
Thousands of runners spent Mother's Day trying to help fight breast cancer. 7,500 of them ran down the Ben Franklin Parkway this morning. The 5K race for the cure helps raise money for research and programs. Breast cancer is the leading type of cancer in women. Some people in the crowd wore pink visors, signifying they're survivors. The volunteer coordinator is a survivor with a unique story. He is a man and says the message here is simple.
Anytime, any place. Anybody can show up with breast cancer. That's why the mammograms are so important. That's why the self-diagnosis or self-breast help testing yourself is so important for men and for women. And it's something that should be checked.
The race is now in its 5th year, held each Mother's Day. Organizers hope to raise $500,000 this year. Flyers raising the hopes for their fans this Mother's Day. Here's Phil Andrews.
Yeah, there's a lot of Flyer fans real happy this evening. The Flyers became the first team in this year's NHL playoffs to advance to the second round, winning their first playoff game since 1989. Flyers led the Sabres 1-0 on a Rod Brindamore goal before Eric Lindros flipped the puck to Kevin Haller. Haller with the goal, 2-0 Flyer on the pair of Lindros assists. Lindros with his first ever playoff goal, the former Flyer Gary Galley tips it home, 3-0 Flyers. Lindros with 5 points in his last 2 games. Then just 19 seconds later, Patrick Uline makes a 4-0 Flyers advantage after the first period. Matter of fact, Flyers would lead at 5-0 before the Sabres scored the next 3. With a blast from the circle there, let's see, Mogilny, yes, he finds the net. But Kevin Denis would seal the Sabres' fate with the blast coming up here. Assist from Rod Brindamore, 6-4 Flyers. They are headed to the next round. Now, sports director Gary Papa at the Spectrum for today's game and had a chance to talk with the Flyers after the game about eliminating Buffalo.
The clock winds down, and the Flyers wind up, winning in 5. The Spectrum is alive. Ron Hextall.
It was great. I mean, we showed them right off the bat that, you know, obviously down 3-1, they're a little bit demoralized, and we showed them right off the bat it was our building.
Then Eric Lindros, who says this pump right here is for all the fans.
Now we finally get a chance to, to compete for them, and today I'd like to say it's for them.
We're going on. We're going on and on. Rangers, look out.
And if it is to be the Rangers, our former Ranger, Craig McTavish, knows all about it.
Most of those players all have their doctorate in playoff, postseason play.
But first, a week off to savor all of this.
It'd be nice just to heal. I think a lot of guys are sore, and just mentally just to get away, because every other night playing at this intensity level, it's tough mentally more than it is maybe physically.
The enthusiasm of shuffling off Buffalo envelops the Spectrum after they win game number 5 right here. And of course, game 1 of the next series starts next Sunday right here with all these people at the Spectrum. Gary Papa, Delta Taxi News at the Spectrum.
And right now, it looks like the Flyers could be taking on those New York Rangers. So right now, the Rangers leading the Quebec Nordiques 3-2 in their series. Boston Bruins eliminated tonight after losing to Jersey 3-2. Elsewhere, Capitals, well, they had a chance to knock off Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh wins in overtime, and Dallas avoids elimination as they win Game 4 of their series 4-1. Phillies continue their 6-game road trip as they visit the Florida Marlins tomorrow night. Tyler Green on the mound versus John Burkett. Today, Phil's completed a 3-game sweep of Houston, jumping on Stroh starter Mike Hampton. 3 runs in the first. Lenny Webster there with the RBI single, scoring Dave Holland. Another quality start for Paul Quantrill, 7 2/3 strong innings, 5 hits, 1 run, striking out for his record now 3-0. And for insurance measures, Greg Jeffries took one out of the yard. That made it 5-2 Phils. Then the Cliffer, Heathcliff. Slocum comes on for his league-leading 8th save. Phil's now 13-4. On the National League scoreboard, in extra innings, it was Cincinnati over Atlanta, San Francisco over